Well, good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV. Idris Motosegawa is my name, and every Friday as we do it, we discuss the arts industry in Uganda. And today, it's a very simple topic, unlocking music revenue for artists. Who've had so many artists in Uganda cry over revenue, they can't earn money from their music, this and that, copyright, government yambe, but what can be done? And today we are going to look at that aspect of making money from your music, but through licensing and publishing. What is it? How is it done? What are the artists doing wrong and what they can improve in the long run? To be part of the conversation, go to our media social platforms. That is on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and use the hashtag Morning at NTV. Remember, you could be part of this conversation to discuss, give us your experiences, share your opinions, and, let's get the conversation going. But in studio, I have a very prominent guest who is Ivan Kifumba, Head of Distribution, Music Publishing and Licensing at Swangs Avenue and Kelele Digital, and Andrew Kagwa, our usual suspect, the arts journalist at Daily Monitor, who are going to tell us what they know about this, what you can learn. And again, I will remind you, go to our social media platforms and our website, which is www.ntv.co.ug for the live stream of this conversation. And if you miss it today, you can go there and recap it. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm good.
How is the day so far?
All good. I woke up at like 3 a.m. because I usually have
preparing for the interview.
I usually have to do my morning runs.
Okay.
My morning run takes about 90 minutes, so I usually have to make sure that's done before I do anything.
Before you do anything, that's a good.
So it's a good
routine
day,
to have.
Yeah, it's a good day. I try to keep it consistent.
It's giving money.
Yeah.
You try, sorry, to catch it.
Yeah, no. I try to keep it consistent, just to just to make sure I get my day starting on a high note.
Well, it's good to have you here. Today we are looking at unlocking music revenue for artists. Yeah. For so long we've had artists complain that they're not making money out of their music. And today we looked at times like during the COVID lockdown, where artists couldn't perform and the only way they could earn from their music is online. Yeah. So, publishing and licensing, what are they? What is the difference between the two?
No, it's the same thing. Music publishing and licensing is really the same thing. Yeah. Just that it just so happens that music publishing just falls under a corner of licensing. Okay. Because music publishing, and then if we're getting into the whole distribution thing, synchronization, these are all different facets of licensing. Yeah. So really music publishing is under music licensing. The only difference is for you to be able to access your royalties via publishing, you need to have access to a music publisher. Okay. Yeah, you need to have access to a global, if you want to make the most of your revenue and royalties on a global scale, you need to have access to a reputable music publisher. So the music publisher is then that entity that comes in and then helps you
to distribute.
Yes. No. Well, because if your content is already out there, what the publisher does is help you monetize that content on the music publishing side. Music publishing is mostly performance royalties, and anything that comes. It's mostly a composer aspect of, because any song generates different types of revenues. Yeah. So what the music publisher does is go and get that composer aspect of that revenue for you, globally, on a global scale.
On a global scale.
Yeah, meaning.
Do we have publishers here in Uganda?
Yeah, I mean, we're one of them, Swangs Avenue, Kelele Digital, and then there's many others, even on an international scale, that you can tap into to get these royalties. But yes, even locally here, there.
All right, just getting back to, again, understanding what publishing is, because I'm an artist, an upcoming artist. I go into studio, record my song, put it out on YouTube. Yes. Is that publishing?
No, that is, what you've done there is disseminated the content. Now it's out there, it's distributed. So what happens is that content is going to generate X amount of revenue, like different types of revenues.
Yeah.
So as a creator, you need to know, okay, how is my label helping me collect my revenues on the distribution side? How is my music publisher helping collect my royalties on the composer, on the composition or the perform? Like if my song gets crazy airplay in Nigeria, on a Nigerian radio station, on a Nigerian TV station, or a radio station in Australia or something, who helps you collect that? As a composer, that's a music publisher. That's what a music publisher does.
As a composer, vis-a-vis a producer, a singer?
Yes. So what people don't understand is, like in a music session, you walk into a session, and then there'll be the artist, the person who's providing, say, the performer,
the vocalist.
Then there'll be the person who actually sat down and created the music or wrote the music, which is because a producer, when they sit, all the beats, and it's still and
in simple terms,
yes, and making a beat is composition.
Yeah.
So that person is part of that situation on a publishing level. Even the person who provided just a line, depending on how your agreement is, though. So that's why we can get into conversations about that's why we can get into conversations about split sheets and what, like when you're in a session, who is doing what? Am I paying you work for hire, or do we have an agreement that you on the back end you get this split and all these things? That's where split sheets come in. So it's a very complicated thing, especially if you're working at scale. So let's say if you're a label like Swangs Avenue and you have X amount of artists and you're releasing so many, it's either you have a publishing entity in-house, which is what Swangs Avenue has, or if you're just like an independent label, but then you can't take on that responsibility, time or resources, then you can outsource it. You can outsource it for a commission fee to an entity, which is what Kelele Digital does. So it's a mix of things.
So Kelele Digital is an in-house publishing department for Swangs Avenue.
Yes.
And
publishing, monetization across the board.
Monetization.
Distribution, music publishing, licensing, everything.
Okay. So the digital in Kelele clearly says online, digital.
Yes, online.
Okay. Is then publishing going farther from only online, but also
physical? Because originally, before we came into the digital era, the streaming era, before, even with the physicals, the CDs and everything, that sale, there was always a split that went, there was always a mechanical that went to the distribution, and then a percentage that went to the composition, the publishing. So even if you sold a CD for X amount, depending on what the agreement is, still that generates a composition royalty that needs to then be collected by your respective publisher.
Andrew.
Or PRO.
I feel like we're learning science. What Ivan is talking about seems very alien in the Ugandan setting. What do you know about publishing?
You could just say in the Ugandan setting, but that's how actually things are done globally.
But we are in Uganda, Andrew.
Well, with Uganda, things have been...
Backward?
No, not backward, but unfortunately we are an unstructured industry. And we are unstructured on all levels. We've been unstructured in film and we're still unstructured in music. It usually happens that I love to sing, so I come up and start recording.
Oh, Andrew, you're a singer?
No, I'm just saying.
You're giving an example. Got you.
So you record your music, and in a weird way, you kind of become your own distributor. You become a label, like you become everything around yourself. A one-man's army, basically. Yeah. So we've been rolling like that, and most of the people are now learning on the job. Trust me, things like publishing and even distribution are still new terms to the people we call our legends. Because I remember there was a show that was here, which I think NTV was part of, and during the press conference I asked the artists how their old music was coming back through digital platforms like TikTok and Facebook. And the artist was like, we thank people that put the music there. We don't know how it gets there. Continue putting it there. Yeah, so we're dealing, our industry, we're still learning on the job.
Oh dear. You know, when you tell that story, I came across a story about It Wasn't Me by Shaggy and how it blew up.
Yeah.
Because apparently at first the studio were negative about it, and then someone got the song and put it on Napster.
Yes.
For the Gen Zs and the alphas who have no idea about Napster. Napster was one of those sites early on back then that really served as the now TikToks and YouTubes of this world. But
it started the revolution.
Indeed. So, but again, so I want to go back and really break down what a publisher does for the artist, because again, our artists are looking for money, and this is the backbone of this conversation, unlocking music revenue for the artist. When I come to you at Kelele, Ivan, what are you doing for me?
Yeah, so as an artist,
in simple terms.
Yeah, in very simple terms. So as an artist, obviously I would have to first ask, okay, so first get the details on the release. Who is involved in this release? Who is the producer? Who are the songwriters? Even if we're having, because at Kelele we can have two separate conversations. It could be a distribution conversation or a publishing conversation. But even if you've come to me for a distribution conversation, I still have to understand the publishing aspects of that content. Who is the producer? Who is the songwriter? And then, is there a split sheet? What is your agreement with them? Are they work for hire? Was this all? Because at the end of the day, if it's being registered, and an artist can be, say, Bebe Cool is the artist. Moses Sully is the owner. Is the composer.
Is the
composer of that. Okay. So then, if it's work for, so I'm saying, so who am I attributing the composition aspect of this to? So that also has to be detailed in what is called a split sheet, which is it's something that we've ignored in this industry for very long, and it has set us back many years in terms of licensing our content, because the serious licensing agents and entities who license music, say for the big Hollywood productions and the ads, and say if it's the NFL or stuff, they're not going to license your song without proper paperwork. Understanding who is really who is at play in terms of the ownership, first of all on the composition side, but even on the distribution side. I had Gravity Omtuju's song in a UK best TV series. So can we assume that such opportunities only come when you have clear and many times that opportunity will even come, but the only thing that will set you back is that paperwork, or not being sure about certain things, and they'll just let it go and go with something because like they want to avoid certain legal issues and
of suing and all that. So you mentioned split sheet that has been ignored in the industry. What is this split sheet?
It's a very simple document that is ideally in every session should be, like, everybody should be clear on. If we're two songwriters here and there's two producers here, and then the artist or two artists, like, it needs to be very clear on who is contributing what and what
do they expect,
or what their remuneration is. Am I paying you outright? Am I saying, oh, let me pay you this fee, but then
you get royalties
on the back end, and then all that needs to be indicated on the split sheet or collaboration agreement.
So in other words, a split sheet is more of a contract.
Basically, it's an agreement. And it's set in stone, meaning then that is when down the road, if Disney comes and they say, oh, we need to license this, that is what is going to get pushed at.
Why the name split sheet?
Because it's a split. They're called splits. Technically, they're called splits.
Because at the end of the day, regardless of how you look at it, it's a job done by a team. Even music, it might be producing. Someone will come up with a beat, and we shall all like it. But down the road, as you're going on with the song, someone will feel like there needs to be a guitar. And they will actually play that guitar. And so they've contributed to that song in a different way, and thus they need to be acknowledged, and they also need to continue getting something from it.
Yes. Playing a bass riff or a melody is that's somebody composing, like they're writing. So they're part of that, they're part of that session in that moment.
So it's a document, an agreement that has to be signed. How does it look like for just paint a picture?
It usually has, first of all, in detail, it has the details of the recording, the producer, what studio it is, when was it recorded, who is the mixing and mastering engineer. Then you get into details of each writer. What is your name, your government name, the one that is on your ID? Who is your PRO, the one that represents you either locally? And we can get into a discussion about PROs because people have a very skewed thing about PROs. About PROs, but you need to know who is your primary PRO and then your IPI number. Your IPI number is like your national identification number, your NIN on your national ID. So that basically identifies you as a composer globally. So even if I register that song, which as a publisher is what I'm mandated to do, to get that song and register it with all PROs globally, but using that IPI number, and then I attach your percentage. But the split sheet basically then justifies, it shows that, oh, okay, this is the percentage and everything is in line.
That produced this song.
There'll be situations where an artist like, say, Elijah Chitaka will enter in there and produce his song, write his song, sing his song. That's even because then that's even easier. That's the ideal situation where the guy just walks in, makes his beat, writes, records. Now that's so
that's simple, straightforward.
That's straightforward. That's the
Well, Andrew, have you heard of the split sheet before today?
I've heard of it, but of course he said something about it being ignored, and at times it comes down to how we used to do music. We used to be very communal. Like if you listen to Venom when he's talking about how they made some of those big hits.
Yes.
At times they would be sitting around and then
they were just on a vibe.
On a vibe. Someone throws an idea and then before you know they've jumped in a booth and like 2 hours later.
And 2 hours later you have Mr. DJ or something.
You have Mr. DJ.
So
so you probably at the end of it you don't really know who brought this line. And there you just have a song without a split sheet. But many people contributed to it.
So going back to this split sheet, and I want us to really explain the split sheet, because every Friday, artists out there watch this show to learn new things that they didn't know. And publishing is one thing that, as you said, has been forgotten, has been ignored. The split sheet, is there a particular template, or even I, as an upcoming artist, probably broke artist somewhere, could just formulate something, an agreement here and there, write on a paper, and then that's it?
Like even just online, you can just go and just say split sheet sample or whatever. The direct maybe thing I would say, maybe you go to like, Songtrust has a very basic split sheet. They're called Songtrust. So if you just go online and say Songtrust split sheet download, it's going to give you a very basic document. And split sheets are not very complicated. They're just there to indicate one thing: the splits, like who was in that session, the split, how do we contact them, what's their IPI number, their NIN. So then, as a publisher, the main publisher that's publishing that song, say if I'm Kilele and I'm publishing Mr. DJ, then I have to go and get that split sheet with the percentages and then register Mr. DJ globally with those percentages in mind and the contact details and everything. Then each individual composer there, because usually you find a situation where each individual composer there has their own PRO, their own publisher, then they take that on. But in the global database, it's indicated.
Wow.
So then your publisher or your PRO knows how much to collect, guaranteed off that composition.
So, Ivan, mostly when you're talking about publishing, it's towards the global audience. Does this publishing serve any financial benefit to an artist in the Ugandan setting?
Yeah, it does, because that guarantees you a lot. First of all, you're protected in the future, just in case any monetization opportunities come up in regards to that composition. So there is no doubt about, because then you don't have to get into this whole fracas of like you owe me money, this song like I had this song in a movie, it's doing this, or my song has been a big hit on radio and there's no renewal. So even here locally, it's very important, because yes, we're a young industry, but these are things that you don't want to run into in the future when there's an opportunity on the table and then you don't have the appropriate
documentation.
Yeah, documentation.
Interesting.
And situation.
So after, because you know the longest conversation that artists have had here in Uganda, especially the musicians, is copyright. So if I have a split sheet and I'm publishing it the right way, because you're saying it's protecting me as an artist, ownership, do I need copyright then?
No, but the copyright
really
thing
serves the same purpose. Yeah,
and it just actually reinforces the copyright, because the copyright thing is straightforward. A producer will tell you, if I make a beat, if I make a beat, or if we record a session and it's in Logic, it's dated.
Yes.
And it's very hard to change that metadata. So it's very easy, and it's happened before. Even to really big artists who I won't mention, and not even in Uganda, but where you take a project that maybe you didn't pay for or something like that, and then you put it out with a beat you didn't pay for, and then the producer comes with proof and says, look, this is but this is not, this is illegally up, because everything is dated, the project is dated. Then that mandates whatever distributor is distributing that song to put it down, mandates YouTube to also strike, like all these things, because I have my project. So there's that thing. Back in the day, it used to be you create something, or you record like a voice note, or you record it on something like a tape or something, and then get the audio and then email it to yourself, just to create that digital signature that this is when this was created. So for you, if you release it 2 years later, it means, you know.
But of course, what you're talking about at the moment, I think the easiest example people can know about, it's happening in Kenya. I think it was between Yashinsky and Sedo. They worked together on Yashinsky's return to music, and last year Yashinsky gets a very good deal. Somehow he doesn't tell Sedo about all the details, and then Sedo learns about all the details, and they kind of fall out, and then all the music that Sedo kind of worked on disappears on streaming platforms.
Just like that.
Yeah, because you don't have and that's why, because there's no agreement that shows this is a legal release. There's no, like, there's all these things where if there's any disputes, especially on the composition side, where they come and say no, this is illegal, and there's a way to prove that.
Prove it.
Yeah, then.
So
I'm saying that to say the Copyright Act exists. Like people say, like people talk like there's no Copyright Act. No, it exists. Maybe enforcing it is a bit lackluster, but the Copyright Act exists.
You know, the only way someone can understand that copyright is serving them is if money is getting into their pocket. And the more the money doesn't get into your pocket, the more you complain about this issue.
It's a long conversation.
And publishing is one way to ensure that you actually earn from your music, right?
But I can also assure you, these people that complain, and I also see them complaining, I know for a fact they're working with the wrong people.
Well,
because you've never heard of a Swangz Avenue artist come out to say copyright
issues. What?
No, because those things are sorted.
So Ivan, so moving away from publishing, how about licensing? What's the difference between the two? Because as I've understood it, publishing, you're basically preparing my music, my art for sale. You're making sure that it's ready for sale.
Yeah.
So what is licensing? What are the two differentiators between
No, there is no. That's why I said music publishing is an element of licensing. But just because they're different. So now, when we get to sync licensing is when I'm giving you permission to put my song in your Kalango, in your trailer, in your TV series. That's licensing. Then even just getting my song and distributing it, putting it on Spotify, putting it on YouTube, on Apple Music, that is also licensing. Licensing is just me giving you the permission
to use my
material here. And then either I'm getting it directly or I have someone who's getting it.
On my behalf.
On my behalf. But licensing is basically I'm giving you the permission to monetize this. Yeah, then either I'm coming for the revenues or someone's going to come and get them from me.
So how does that work for stations like ours, other platforms that normally play this music without necessarily approaching an artist?
Yeah, so for a TV station that's underperforming rights, performing royalties. So you guys, I think, you guys pay maybe an annual fee, because usually what happens is the public performance entities, could be a radio, a TV, a hotel, you pay maybe an annual licensing fee to a local entity. Locally it's UPRS, and then it's up to, that fee goes into a pool that is then split. Because it's if this year the pool says it's $1 million, but then 10,000 songs were released, and each of these songs received this airplay here, this play here, that. So it's up to the internal the internal finance team in that entity to kind of split. So all the PROs globally do this. They get fees from all these radio stations, TV stations, annual fees. It's a license, it's a one-time fee. And then they split it and distribute it according to airplay and stuff like this.
Andrew, have you reported any newsworthy stories where artists are complaining about licensing or they have actually benefited from it?
No.
No?
Yeah, most of the time when artists are talking about... yeah, because this rarely comes up in their conversations. Licensing or publishing rarely comes up in their conversations. Most of the times they're talking about copyright as a whole when they're talking. But when it comes to what he has just talked about, like media houses or hotels paying to a major pool, I think it's something we have reported about, and I think the former CEO of UPRS, Anthony Monda, usually told us that very many media houses in Uganda are not very compliant. Even hotels are not very compliant. Though he always insisted that even if they were compliant, the belief most artists usually have that when copyright works, they'll get their money. At times doesn't really make that much sense, because Uganda has a very small pool where they're collecting from. Even the money that media houses and hotels and all these entities are charged is not really that much. Like, I mean, even if you're to collect, say, 2 billion Uganda shillings,
UGX, yeah,
and you have to split that among all the songs that are released in a year and have been played, like, it's easy for an artist to walk away with 1 million, and at 1 million you must have really
you must have serious airplay,
serious airplay.
Yeah.
So like, at times it doesn't make as much sense as most of the artists make it look like when they're talking about it. Yeah.
Ivan,
yes,
to get into the other step, we've talked about publishing, we've talked about licensing. How about distribution? Do they two connect? Is it a string of three?
Yeah, and I usually explain it like this. A record label is to an artist what a music publisher is to a composer. So to collect for any song, it's going to generate these two very separate revenues on the distribution mechanical side, but even the composition has a mechanical element on it, because if your song is playing on YouTube, it's going to generate a composition royalty, but your label can't collect that for you. Your label will just collect the other aspects, the distribution, the mechanical fee, the licensing fee for that.
Okay.
But then you still need your publisher to collect that for you. And then the other thing people mistake is, oh, okay, I'm registered with UPRS. So now you're focusing on UPRS giving you your money. What happens if your song was a hit in Japan, or China, or the US? Those local PROs are going to collect money for that song being a hit there. But if you don't have a publisher to come and collect, because UPRS is not going to go
there in Japan and say.
So if you don't have a publisher,
on your behalf.
Yeah, and that's even just on the performance thing. But then if your song, say, is huge, your song can have, say, 2 million views, but only 500,000 came from Uganda, but 1.5 came from the US. That 1.5 generated a composer royalty in the US, but UPRS is not going to collect you
to follow up.
Yeah, so that's what the publisher does, is literally get that song, get that composition and register it globally, and then bring those royalties to you.
Well, if you want to get your royalties back to your pocket, stay with us on this conversation. We shall be right back. Don't go away. Remember, the hashtag to use is Morning at NTV. Go to our more social media platforms. Just type in NTV Uganda. Use the hashtag Morning at NTV. We're talking about unlocking revenue for music artists in Uganda using publishing, distribution, and licensing. What didn't you know about it before, and what can you learn today? We shall be right back. Morning. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. We are here discussing music revenue for the artists in Uganda who have been complaining for so long. Copyright is not working for me. I've put my song on YouTube, but I'm not earning enough money. I can't perform in these big stadiums, but how can I make a little bit of money? And we are here to tell you that you can, through publishing, licensing, and the right way to distribute your music online, especially for the global audience that can actually give you these dollars that you're looking for. And in studio, again, I have Ivan Kifumba, who is the head of distribution, music publishing, and licensing at Swangs Avenue / Kelele Digital. Ivan, we talked about distribution before we went for a break. And for someone who basically records their music in studio, makes a video, a very beautiful video, probably expensive, puts it on YouTube, how are they going to make money from views that have been collected abroad, not in Uganda? Is YouTube serving as a distributor to them? Are they serving as a publisher? Are they licensing by simply uploading the video?
Yes. No, YouTube in this case is a DSP, a digital service provider, and there are many of these. Spotify is one of them, Apple Music is one of them. So for any serious artist, any serious talent manager or record label, if you really have like a serious project going on, you need to know, you need to make sure that you have these two elements figured out. Distribution is way more obvious. You can go to a TuneCore, you can go to a DistroKid, you can come to a Kelele Digital, and the song will be distributed. But then that song or that content or that composition is going to generate X, like different types of revenues. So you need to make sure also on the publishing side you're covered, which is where a music publisher comes in. Just so happens Kelele does both, distribution and music publishing. Then another thing that we ignore locally on the licensing end is the synchronization. But synchronization, unless you're lucky and your song is so huge that a music supervisor of a film or a documentary or a TV show picks it up and they're like, oh, I want this song here.
And then they do the follow-up.
But usually in my experience, these things are very proactive. Like now, me, I have to get my catalog or my library that I administer or manage, and then I have to like keep pitching, keep making sure it's in studio heads' faces, it's in music supervisors' faces, just in case something comes up, a production comes up, they're like, oh, there's this catalog from Africa, maybe we can pick something from here. So there's there's at least 3 different avenues you can generate, but then you need to make sure you're working with the right entities. You need to make sure your talent manager is on top of it, your label manager is on top of it, making sure you're collecting or generating all these revenues that come in.
So you talk about you as a publisher, as a publishing company, putting my music out there and pitching it to studio heads and so many other avenues. Yes. So apart from probably getting my song as a score or featured in a film, etc., what other avenues can I make money by working with a publisher? Because the biggest question for artists, why do I need a publisher?
Yeah.
You know, and again, because the bottom line is money. So what other avenues could you make money for me as an artist?
Just basically making sure, because and moving forward, this is going to be a very big, because I feel like especially music, musical content, audio and video is going to be a very big asset class moving forward in terms of like consumption, because where the world is going, and it's up for debate, but where the world is going, people are going to have so much time on their hands because of, and this is a separate conversation, because of artificial intelligence and all that, but people are going to have so much time on their hands where they're going to be consuming so much content, and all this content, like just look around, like whatever, any type of entertainment, there's music integrated into that. It could be in a club, it could be a video game, it could be a live stream, it could be, and none of these entities just use this music for free. No, it's licensed. But then if you're not working with a reputable licensing agent, in like quote unquote, meaning they can help you one stop, where they can help you distribute, then monetize on that end, then help you on the music publishing side, then help you on the synchronization side. Then also there's new technologies coming up off the Web3, the Web3 blockchain conversations, where we can get into stuff like tokenization, which is again a bigger discussion. Tokenization is, just to break it down in very simple terms, is say he releases a song, right? And it's a song that's earning, say, $1,000 every month or every quarter. Tokenization means me and you can buy into, it's like buying shares. We can buy into that, and it's very transparent. It's Web3, it's blockchain. We can buy into it, and then we can get our share. It's like buying shares in a company. If you're into like stock markets and all those things, investment. So all these things, and these are all emerging technologies that are coming up. But then things that creators need to be very aware of. Yeah.
The business side of things is very complicated for some artists, and I guess that's why they need.
Yeah, like I usually tell, like, and that's a very big problem with our local industries. Like the artist wants to, like they want to do everything. Like I want to be here, I want to know what's happening, and it's okay to want to know, but then to do, like actually execute. Like no, I want to do this for myself. I want to do this for myself, and then I also want to go into studio and write a hit song. And then no, it's impossible. It's that
play your parts.
It's impossible.
Artists, play your part. Andrew, just to bring you in onto the conversation, this part. He talked about the relevance of having a publisher, because before we were grappling with the idea of artists having basically a manager. You would find the one-man army syndrome of I can do it by myself. I'll take the CD at studio, I'll talk to the producer, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. when you look back at the industry, how has that affected the industry, the development, the progress that probably we should have had over time? And also, when artists start adapting such people, such companies, publishers, managers, etc., where do you think the industry can go?
One, you first asked how it affected the industry.
Yes, the one-man army syndrome.
The one-man army syndrome. I think the one-man army syndrome did not really affect the industry. The success of the one-man syndrome affected the industry.
Yes. The big three. Let me the big three. Where it's like I'm coming in and I'm just
because trust me, at the end of the day, we had 3 mega superstars,
yes,
and they were mega superstars for about 15 years, and technically they were one-man armies. And everyone that came in line after them thought, you actually don't need a team. Maybe teams are overrated. Like one of them used to even say, I'm the manager. I'm my own manager. Like they would proudly say that. So the success of their success kind of misled the industry into everyone thinking, this is how things should work. I can actually do it without a team. And wherever their sites were, that became their goals.
And that is not to downplay anybody that was helping them do certain things, but it's very different when you get a collective of professionals to then give you ideas and then listen to them and execute, or rather just get a collective of people and tell them, you do this, you do this, you do this. It's a very different thing.
Because personally, I believe most of these artists would have become way bigger than they actually became. They had the potential. Even when you move into other countries, people still ask you about these guys. But when you look at younger guys that have come, like most of them are not even doing half of the work they did, but can you just see how they are blowing up?
Yep.
So
the likes of Josh.
Joshua Baraka. And he has a very good team around him. So it's not by chance that this guy is doing what he's doing. He has a team. Yeah.
And he's very switched on. When you talk to him, he's very switched on. He kind of has an idea of how things are supposed to be. Yeah. Which is something like most of our artists at that time didn't have. Most of them, some of them anyway, are just trying to catch up. And then your other question was what? I think I forgot it.
How will the adoption of having teams around yourself, working with professionals, with experienced people who have specialized in particular aspects of the industry, the ecosystem of the music distribution supply chain, how will that improve on the industry in Uganda, especially for musicians who are looking for revenue desperately?
One, I think it has already started improving. When you look at organized artists vis-a-vis our friends that are trying to take the order model. Of course, like in Uganda, we have people that are always asking us, me working in the media, like at times you come out and you publish the most streamed Ugandan artists. We usually get questions, yeah. But when you see these artists that are accumulating a lot of streams and probably are not pretty on the mainstream media, and then you see where they usually have their showcases, where they perform from, you notice that one, they've understood there is an audience for everyone. Your audience doesn't necessarily have to be the guy that enjoys music in Kawempe or Machende, but you can actually find an audience that understands you and is willing to consume you. And then they've also understood that you're not only going to make money when you're on stage, but you can contribute to one advert, you can contribute to someone's documentary. I think there is a short film I saw and there was a Joshua Baraka song I don't know.
And it was there?
Yeah, like it was there. I don't know how the film.
Again, publishing.
Yeah.
But what Ivan was talking about. And probably what I'm picking from what you're saying is the fact that we need to get into the idea of having it to make money even when we do not know we are making money. Like literally sleeping, but you are still making money. Ivan, I want to come back to you. One of the root causes for the one-man army syndrome is, I don't want to say being greedy, but the idea that the money that I'm going to make from my music, I'm taking a lion's share. Now, you as a publisher, publishing company, licensing company, many artists will be hesitant to get into probably a working relationship with you, simply looking at the fact that, okay, maybe in a year I will make 50 million Ugandan shillings. How much is the publishing going to take? I have a team. I have a group that works around with me. Nine gari. I have to. So, just take us through, how do you maintain that relationship and make sure that it's beneficial to the company as Kelele Digital, but also to the artist, so that it's a 50-50 or it's a fair arrangement?
No, it's a trust thing. It's a trust thing, and there's no way around it. The same reason why I wake up in the morning, I don't even have to check my bank account. Oh. Because I trust Standard Chartered has my money. For some reason. Right? For some reason, I trust they have my money, because every time I go,
honestly,
I withdraw it.
But I'm also Standard Chartered. No, it's a good bank, though they are going to test us away. Yes. Well, that's sadly.
Yes, but it's a trust. It's a trust thing, because, and that's why even as Kelele Digital, we don't spread ourselves so thin in terms of the clients we work with, because first of all, the client has to understand. First of all, the client has to be professional enough to understand that, number one, they need the team. Yeah. And then who is this team that I'm bringing into the fold? And then for me, my job then is to show and prove, right? Meaning, if you give me this catalog, how much money I bring you back should be an indication of if and how you should work with me. And then also just making sure, just to limit all these say trademark infringement issues and stuff, because at that point I'm also the policeman, making sure your music isn't used illegally and stuff like that. So it's a working relationship, and as a creator, if you've never worked with any one of these, it's a very hard decision to make, because even here locally, there are many. I can say there are many, including Kelele Digital. But then, first of all, you have to do your research. Who have you worked with? What have you done for them? And then, if you bite the bullet and say, okay, I'm going to work with Kelele Digital, then as Kelele Digital, we say, okay, let's give this a year, a 1 year run. If it doesn't make sense for you at the end of the year, then you can, if you have other options, you can move on. So then it comes back, like, everybody has to play their part. Because Azawi has to go to studio and create the greatest song ever. Elijah has to go to studio and create the greatest song ever. Then me, I have to then the ball gets thrown to me. It's like basketball. The ball gets thrown to me, then I have to shoot.
The greatest revenue ever.
Then so it's, and then everybody, so now it becomes a relationship. Everybody trusts, or she's going to go and create the hit. And then even how when she's there, she knows, oh, when I give it to these guys, they're going to go and bring back the money. So it's a trust thing. Like, you need to give it time. That's why even in these agreements, like, they don't have to be so stretched out, a year or two, just to test the waters and then say, oh, this person can do the job. If they can't, then you move to the next person.
So just to paint a little bit of a picture for the artist who hasn't been using publishing companies like yours, is it a percentage kind of sharing?
It's a commission, because I'm an agent. Yeah, it's a commission.
What kind of percentage are we looking at?
Depending on the situation, it's 10, 15, 20. Okay. It's in that range. All right. Yeah, depending on how much I'm really doing. But for, like, as Kelele, we have a standard agreement, depending on if we're working with a collection, say a label, or just an individual artist. So then we attribute a percent, but it's really a commission. We don't take ownership in your content. That's why you can just wake up one morning and say, I'm taking my content here, and we have because it's still yours. Us, we're just agents, so we just take a commission off.
So how does that then work? Because I wake up one day and I'm fed up with Kale. For just an example.
And it's my job to make sure that never happens. But okay.
I'm going away with my catalog. So, but it's you who handled the registration, the split sheet. Do you just hand over all that material to me? And
no, but those are agreements. Those are like legal. Those are like legal things. If say I've spent say $1,000 to do X amount of things, but then all I've got from that is usually, like, legally there's a way you can frame that, but then all that has come back to me is maybe 500. You can say, oh, until the balance is cleared, like, yes, you can take the catalog, but you still owe me. But these are all legal things, and in most cases that even never happens. In most cases, I can promise you that never happens.
And do you know why I believe that most artists do not want to work with teams? Because they do not understand the legal side of things, and it seems complicated.
That's the other thing.
It seems very lengthy.
Legally.
Not exactly that it seems lengthy. It's mainly because of something he said earlier, professionalism. It's not even just the music, because I've seen it even in film, why people do not really want to work, say, with a studio. Like, a studio is someone is coming with their money, they want you to make a film, but you make a film according to their tastes. Where we do not like that character, write them out. But you do not want to do that. You want to shoot what you want to shoot, just like music. So that professionalism, where people do not really feel like they have to listen to orders. Like, trust me, most of our Ugandan artists would want to be where Azawi is. It's just that they do not want to work with the way Azawi works, where you actually have to listen to someone, where at one point you have to take certain orders. Like, artists want to wake up, and if they want to abuse Winnie Nwaji, you go into a studio, abuse Winnie Nwaji. At one, the song is playing somewhere. But when you're working with a system, of course things might not work that way. Like, probably someone is going to tell you the beat you used, we do not have the right to use it. And they will take you through that whole system, which you do not want to go to. So most of the reasons why they are finding a situation with probably these platforms is because you will have to listen to someone. There's some paperwork that needs to be done, and they do not want any of that.
Well, be professional, make some money, and stay using teams. Because there is a saying that says, walk alone, not going too far. Walk together, you can climb mountains. We are taking a short break. We shall be right back. Do not go away. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. We are discussing unlocking music revenue for artists through publishing, licensing, and distribution, the right way to do it. In studio, I have Ivan Kifumba, Head of Distribution, Music Publishing and Licensing, Swangs Avenue, Kelele Digital. Ivan, as we enter our last part of this conversation, one thing that I want to know, and I'm sure the artists back there would want to know, Kelele Digital, how many artists do you represent? Do you work for? What have you done for them? Basically, pitch to us.
So Kelele Digital, as an entity, we've tried to really first focus on and serve a bigger picture of taking on record labels and talent managers, and because on the business end you find it's easier to do business with another business-minded person. So if you ask me how many artists, because we distribute maybe 5-6 labels, each of those labels have their own artists, like say Kupi Blai's label, which is a gospel label. There's Shadrach's label, Vine Music. Kupi Blai's is Backyard, so they have a whole stream of artists they work with. Vine Music, that's Shadrach's label. It's also a gospel label. He works with a bunch of artists. Obviously, Swang's Avenue, as kind of we used Swang's Avenue as the experiment, because we said if it works for Swang's Avenue, it should work for all these other labels. So all the Swang's Avenue artists, and then Juliana Kanyomozi, we monetize content for her. Caro Casita, Viruta, Dax Vibes, so many people, Navio, and then if we're going to, like, say, I don't know if you've heard of the Conversations, Conversations live sessions, we distribute that, so there's a bunch of artists that come with that. So at one point we're actually working with Bebe Cool. So yeah, we work with a wide range of. We're getting into a project with, I don't know if you're familiar with More Roots,
yes.
But yes, we're getting into a project with her as well. It's coming soon. So yeah.
You've worked with
we
a
work
lot.
And like we're not like genre specific and say, oh, it's just Afrobeat.
You're artist specific.
We're artists, like artists and professional specific. Like as long as it doesn't matter what genre you're coming from, us, we're professional enough to handle.
Do you also handle publishing and licensing for film?
Not all of them, and that's why I told you Kelele is multifaceted. Some creators will just come to us for the distribution, and then some on the publishing. Say like a Banga Boy, who is actually an in-house producer at Swang's Avenue.
Yeah.
So some people will just handle them on the composition side, some on the distribution side. Then some, it will be both. Yeah.
You mentioned something that caught my attention, using Swang's Avenue as an experiment. How long has Kelele been in the industry?
Active, really active and set up since COVID.
Okay.
But then COVID was
2021,
2020, yeah, 2021. So we had it running as an experiment in-house for 2 years. 2 years and some change, to make sure everything was kind of running the way it should. Then 2023, somewhere around 2023 is when we officially put it out there for people to apply. And it's not even like a sign-up type of platform where you come and sign up and pay us a monthly or no. It's you apply, and then once we figure out that, oh, this entity is worth, this entity is serious about what they're doing, then you come on board, and then we basically become like an arm of your team. So if you have any release, we come in, we can, on different levels, we can come in and advise on different, like depending on your needs.
Okay, and that's where I'm going to ask you the gist, probably for most artists out there who are watching. You've said you judge if the artist is worth.
And maybe worth is even the wrong word. No, worth is the wrong word, because if the artist or the entity or the creator is aligned, like we'll sit
with
down,
your values and
with our values, but then also like our supply chain and how we do things. So then we would have to first understand what is it you need, because many times people have come to us or come to me, and then after evaluation I'm like, you know what, you actually for now even better off using a TuneCore or a DistroKid up to a certain point. Then Kelele can, because what you need now is not a Kelele.
Okay.
You can go, like, you can use a TuneCore, you can use a DistroKid for exactly the same service that you need right now. But then there's another step forward if you want to accelerate what it is you're doing, to take it to the next level in layman terms.
Ivan, let me first paint for you a picture that probably you don't understand, and I hope people from Swang's Avenue are watching. Swang's Avenue is one of the labels in Uganda that have done great work over the years. And when you look at the maybe litmus paper of how things should be done, it's Swang's Avenue. And I know, because I interact with some of these artists, upcoming artists, young artists, who want to get to that level. Now, if I come to Ivan at Kelele and I'm like, Ivan, I have one song, I have 2 songs, but I need publishing, I need to do things the right way. Because again, publishing, licensing, these seemingly new ideas in Uganda, but getting artists to jump onto that trend will also maybe require a little bit of open door policy in a way from you guys.
No.
So
no. It's like, especially.
I don't know if I'm making sense to you, Ivan.
So, on the distribution, on the Kelele side, it's a very open door policy.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, you have access to us, and we've done these where we sit down with the artists and then we dig in. We're like, okay, what is it you need? How many releases do you intend to do this year? Like, what's the frequency? How what's your vision? What's your 6-month, 12-month vision? Where do you want? Like, all these are very important questions for me to judge and be like, actually, what you need right now is first get yourself situated in A, B, C, D. Then once A, B, C, D is done, then come back to Kelele where we can best serve you in that manner. Because if you're not ready, then, or you don't understand where exactly you want to be or what it is you need in that moment, then it's hard for us to actually even.
So you don't give advisory services?
No, we do. No, we do. And that's exactly what I'm saying is, we'll give you the advisory, like, we'll tell you, I will literally break down everything you need from A to Z.
Yeah.
But then tell you, for now you're at D or you're at E. Then if you get to D and
talk about
E,
it is.
yeah, because it's important, because you don't want to get to a situation where people have very high expectations, like, oh, I'm working with Kelele, but Kelele also works with Azawi, so that means
I'm going to become the next Azawi.
No. So that's not how it works.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And also, all these, like, you need to be very expectation, especially in this industry. And I've run into issues when it comes to expectations, where it's like, how come Winnie, how come Elijah is doing this, but
and
I'm
for
not,
me, you're
but
not
then
doing this
but then you're the one distributing. I'm like, and then it's very hard to explain. And so if you don't get these things aligned
at the beginning,
you're going to run into issues.
Indeed.
Yeah. You're going to run into serious issues.
Managing expectations.
Managing
is quite very important, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, Andrew, just to bring you into the conversation, what are some of the challenges you think that artists are facing right now that publishers like Kelele can fix?
One, getting your music out there. I remember I was looking at, just this week, I was looking for Blue 3's music. Yeah. Because Blue 3 has done quite tremendously the past year and into this year. So I was looking for their music on Spotify, and I managed to find it. And how I think someone out there kind of created a thing and then created an album which Blue 3 has never released with some funny art, but with their music.
They do that a lot.
Oh dear.
So with their music and like not all of it, like a couple of songs, and bundled into an album called Alone. So, and this is not the first time I'm seeing it. I've been looking for some older Ugandan music, which at times you cannot find. So one of the very biggest things that a distributor like Kelele or publisher solves is they document your music. Like, not everyone has to look for you to get your music, and there are those times where we can't look for you because probably you're retired or you're even dead. But the music still exists in people's minds and they need to find it and they can't.
Well, Ivan, what are some of those challenges that you have faced as a publisher, as a publishing company? I know you've sort of like mentioned a few expectations, managing expectations being one of them, but are there big issues that you're facing especially introducing something that is ideally new in Uganda, but needed?
Yeah, maybe two. Maybe one is people not like really doing enough research on the industry it is
before they come to you.
They're engaging in. So, because it's usually very much easier to have certain conversations with someone who at least has an idea of what's going on. So then you don't have to run around in circles. Then maybe also policy. Okay, I won't even call it policy, but just like on a national level, just like government needs to get a bit more involved in terms of, say, programs and education and, you know, like things to get creatives active in the industry. Like there needs to be like a clear, very business-oriented discussions between, say, the government and the professionals. And then, like, we usually go astray where we then just go and start begging for money. And the government will never look at us seriously when we just go and keep, like, asking for, like, handouts and stuff. Like, we need to have real business discussions. Like, hey, if you do A, B, C, D, actually, your return, even on a tax level, will be this. If we do A, B, C, D, I don't know if these discussions are happening, but they need to happen. Like, we need to have serious business discussions, not these things of, oh, we need money for this and this, and then you get, and then, so we need to be like very, very intentional in terms of our discussions.
All right. So as we close our conversation, Ivan, what are the prospects? What is the future looking like for Kelele and for the artists that probably would want to be part of your team?
No, just even beyond Kelele, beyond what I do, I feel like the local industry, creator economy is vibrant. We just need to get very, very organized, because I can tell you the pie on a global scale is going to grow. So if locally here we're not organized, we're going to miss out. We're going to miss out on a lot. We need to get organized. People need to get professional. People need to research, get educated. People need to align themselves with actual professionals, and then everything will align.
Take things serious, in other words.
Yeah, take things
serious. It's a business.
It's a business.
Run it as a business.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Personally, I'm very excited about the new school of artists, because they are very switched on. Even when you hear where they want to be, they know that to succeed as a Ugandan artist, you need to succeed as an international artist, because we are a very small market. So I think, well, going forward, I'm so sure most of them will be seeking out services of guys like Kelele, because they really know where they want to go. But even the fact that even when they're doing music at the moment, they know Uganda doesn't have only one listener. When you listen to what most of our newer artists are releasing, you'll notice that they are not afraid of being diverse and not producing something that
getting out of the fold
everyone thinks is popular.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming
so
through.
Thank you so much for
this has been enlightening.
Thank you.
And switched on.
We need to stay switched on.
Indeed. And Ivan, I hope Swanks Avenue can arrange a workshop of some sort. I know already you are arranging others.
Yes, very much so.
This is very important, and this is a discussion that has really,
unfortunately, you'll find the switched on artists attending.
Well, keep switched on. Go to our website, that is www.ntv.co.ug, to have a recap of this conversation if you missed it. Go and continue the conversation on our social media platforms using the hashtag #MorningAtNTV. Look out for NTV Uganda and tell us, is your artist switched on? Are they publishing the right way? Or you as an artist, are you publishing, licensing the right way to make the back from your music? Well, I'm Idris Batusagawa. See you on Monday. Goodbye.